Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. It was supposed to be just another post-game press conference after yet another frustrating Miami Dolphins loss. But what quarterback Tua Tagovailoa said after that 29-27 home defeat to the Los Angeles Chargers lit a fire across the NFL landscape. His words weren't just the usual cliches about getting better or executing the game plan. No, this time Tua went off script. He called out teammates who have either been late or skipped players-only meetings, something that, in the ultra-competitive world of professional football, is an unspoken taboo. It's one thing for a coach to talk about accountability. It's another when the franchise quarterback takes the mic and points directly at the culture inside his own locker room. And that's exactly what happened on Sunday night. The Dolphins, sitting at a miserable 1-5, have been spiraling after another slow start to the season. This was supposed to be the year they finally broke through. The year Tua proved that he could stay healthy and elevate the team into the AFC elite. But instead, the same problems that haunted this franchise last year are back again. Inconsistency, mental lapses, and now, internal tension that's spilling into the public eye. When Tua dropped his comments about teammates not showing up to those player-led meetings, it wasn't just frustration. It sounded like a warning, a shot across the bow for a team that's dangerously close to imploding. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel, the young, creative offensive mind who was once hailed as one of the brightest stars in the NFL coaching galaxy, found himself once again forced to address locker room drama instead of talking about football. After the game, McDaniel tried to calm the waters, downplaying any notion of a full-blown internal crisis while also standing behind his quarterback's intent. Player-led meetings are extra things outside of what I demand, McDaniel said. They've been very accountable to me. It sounds like there was something on his mind with regard to the specific meetings, with a couple individuals that he was trying to get corrected with direct communication. I think that's the only way to lead. Those words, the only way to lead, are doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. Because whether McDaniel admits it or not, Tua's comments drew a line in the sand. This wasn't just about a couple of missed meetings. This was about leadership, about culture, about a team that's been trying to find its identity ever since McDaniel arrived. Remember, this is the same franchise that parted ways with big names like Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, and Javon Holland during the offseason, all under the umbrella of culture reset. The message was supposed to be clear: accountability comes first. But now, less than halfway through the season, the same issues are popping up again. Players being late, meetings skipped, a locker room that doesn't seem fully locked in. If you rewind to last September, a bombshell report from Sports Illustrated painted an ugly picture of the Dolphins' internal environment. It described players often being late to practices and team meetings, an overall lack of discipline, and a head coach who, while brilliant with a playbook, might have been struggling to command full respect from the roster. Fast forward a year later, and it's like déjà vu. The Dolphins are once again in the headlines not for their explosive offense, but for their apparent lack of leadership and unity. Now, here comes the twist. Mike McDaniel insists that, at least from his point of view, the team is still together. As far as where we've been at as a program, I think we've opened the air on all of that, and it's very clear how we be accountable and what's non-negotiable, McDaniel said. Clearly, Tua is sending a message. But from my standpoint, everything that I've asked of the guys, they've delivered on. So I'm sure whoever he's talking to, they'll deliver as well, as he's a direct communicator with his teammates. That's McDaniel's public stance, but anyone who has followed the NFL for long enough knows what's really happening here. When a coach starts using phrases like, "they've been very accountable to me," it usually means something else behind the scenes isn't clicking. Coaches rarely get up to the podium and admit that their locker room is fractured, that their quarterback is frustrated, or that their leadership structure is under strain. Instead, they spin it, soften it, and hope the media cycle moves on before things get uglier. But in Miami's case, this story isn't going away anytime soon. Think about what it means for Tua to be the one sending this message. This isn't some anonymous player leaking frustration to a reporter. This is the quarterback, the supposed face of the franchise, the guy who touches the ball on every offensive snap. When Tua speaks, he's speaking not just as a player. He's speaking as a leader, as the voice of the locker room. And when that voice starts calling people out for lack of professionalism, it's a big deal. For years, there have been questions about whether Tua had the personality to be the guy. He's often seen as quiet, humble, a bit reserved, more of a lead-by-example type than a vocal leader. So when he steps up and calls out teammates publicly, it's a signal that he's evolving. Maybe he's realizing that being a franchise quarterback isn't just about throwing touchdowns. It's about setting a tone. And maybe, deep down, he's tired of being the one blamed for every shortcoming in Miami, while others get a pass for not putting in the work. Still, it's risky. Publicly challenging teammates can go one of two ways. Either the locker room rallies behind him, respects the message, and uses it as fuel to turn the season around, or it backfires, creating division and resentment. The Dolphins are at that crossroads right now, and McDaniel knows it. The coach's carefully measured comments suggest a man walking a tightrope, trying to support his quarterback while also preventing a full-blown media firestorm. Because make no mistake, the vultures are circling. Whispers about McDaniel's job security have been growing louder ever since last season's playoff disappointment. He's still searching for his first postseason win after 3 years in charge. And when you combine on-field underachievement with off-field culture issues, the result is usually the same in the NFL. Ownership starts to lose patience. The September report about discipline problems didn't help, and now this Tua episode only adds more smoke to the fire. Meanwhile, the rest of the league is watching. One unnamed veteran coach told The Athletic that Miami appears to be lacking a dynamic leader. That's a damning statement, and it cuts right to the heart of what's gone wrong in South Florida. The Dolphins have talent, no one disputes that. They've got playmakers on both sides of the ball, a creative offensive system, and a quarterback who, when he's on, can slice defenses apart. But talent doesn't mean much when leadership falters. Championship teams don't just have stars, they have standards. And right now, Miami's standards seem to be slipping. Maybe that's what Tua was trying to address when he aired his frustrations. Maybe he's tired of being part of a team that talks about culture but doesn't live it. In that light, his comments start to make sense. They're not about drama. They're about drawing a line, about saying, enough. If you're serious about winning, you show up. You prepare. You respect your teammates' time. That's what great teams do. But leadership moments like this come with pressure. If the Dolphins respond with a win next week against the struggling Cleveland Browns, a 1-5 team themselves, then Tua's comments will be seen as a spark, a turning point. If they lose again, the narrative shifts completely. Then it becomes a story about dysfunction, about a team unraveling, about a quarterback's words that couldn't translate into results. And let's not forget, the betting markets already have Miami as a 2.5-point underdog against Cleveland. That says a lot about how far expectations have fallen. A few months ago, this was a team being hyped as a dark horse Super Bowl contender. Now, Vegas isn't even sure they can beat a Browns team in freefall. It's a defining moment for both Tua and McDaniel. The quarterback is trying to prove that he's more than just a nice guy with an accurate arm, that he can be a true leader who demands excellence from everyone around him. The coach is trying to show that his program isn't coming apart at the seams. Together, they're fighting not just for wins, but for credibility. Because once a locker room loses faith in its direction, it's almost impossible to get it back. Maybe this is the spark they needed. Maybe this public confrontation will finally shake some players out of complacency. Or maybe it's the beginning of the end for this version of the Dolphins. Either way, one thing is certain. The next few weeks will reveal everything we need to know about this team's character. Will they rally behind their quarterback and reclaim their season, or will the cracks widen until the whole thing collapses? For now, all eyes are on Miami. The sunshine, the turquoise uniforms, the swagger, they don't mean much if the foundation underneath is unstable. And as Tua Tagovailoa made perfectly clear on Sunday night, he's done pretending everything is fine. He wants accountability. He wants urgency. And maybe, just maybe, he's finally stepping into the role this franchise has been waiting for him to embrace all along. The voice that won't let this team settle for anything less than excellence. Because when a quarterback speaks like that, he's not just talking to his teammates. He's talking to the entire organization. He's talking to the fans. He's talking to everyone who's watched this team underachieve for years and wondered when someone would finally take ownership. Whether this moment becomes a rallying cry or a breaking point, that's up to the Dolphins now. The season may be hanging by a thread, but in the NFL, sometimes it only takes one bold voice to change everything. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? NFL confirms shocking move. The sports world is in utter disbelief tonight as the National Football League has officially confirmed the cancellation of the game between the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Chargers due to what sources are calling serious irregularities. The announcement came out of nowhere, sending shockwaves through the NFL community, fans, analysts, and even players themselves. This is not just a simple postponement or an administrative error. According to insiders, the league uncovered multiple violations that strike at the very core of what is expected in professional football. Rumors have been swirling for weeks about questionable calls, inconsistencies in officiating, and suspicious patterns on the field, but no one could have predicted the league would take the unprecedented step of erasing the result of an already played game. The implications are massive, not only for the Dolphins and Chargers but for the standings, the playoff picture, and, most importantly, the integrity of the league itself. The details emerging from NFL headquarters are still murky, but the sense of urgency is palpable. Sources close to the league claim that the investigation was triggered after a combination of statistical anomalies and eyewitness reports suggested that the game had not adhered to the expected professional standards. Some say referees might have overlooked critical penalties or perhaps even made egregiously biased decisions favoring one team. Others are pointing fingers at potential off-field influences that may have compromised the fairness of the contest. Imagine the chaos this unleashes for the Dolphins and Chargers. Players reportedly received the news like a gut punch, as if the rug had been pulled out from under them. The locker rooms were allegedly filled with disbelief, frustration, and anger, as athletes who had poured their sweat and energy into a legitimate effort suddenly found themselves caught in a maelstrom of controversy. Fans have taken to social media with an unprecedented fervor, expressing shock, disbelief, and outrage. Some Dolphins supporters argue that the cancellation unjustly punishes a team that fought hard for every yard, while Chargers fans are voicing frustration over what they perceive as a complete undermining of their players' efforts. Memes, hashtags, and viral videos have already begun circulating, speculating on the reasons behind the league's explosive decision. Every analyst, former player, and commentator seems to have their own theory, ranging from allegations of intentional referee misconduct to accusations of performance-enhancing substances or tampering with game conditions. The speculation alone has created a media firestorm, drawing attention not just from hardcore NFL fans, but from general sports enthusiasts and casual viewers who are now riveted by what is being called the game that never officially happened. Inside the NFL offices, sources say that executives and legal teams are working around the clock to assess the fallout. The league is reportedly preparing a full report to explain the cancellation, but the language is being carefully crafted to avoid further controversy. The stakes are enormous, as the game's original outcome could have determined playoff seeding and even influenced coaching decisions across the league. Some insiders hint that the repercussions might extend beyond the field, with potential fines, suspensions, and even longer-term investigations into both teams' operational practices. Players have allegedly been questioned by league officials in informal settings, adding another layer of tension. Imagine the psychological impact of suddenly having a win, or a loss, erased from the record books, leaving athletes and coaches scrambling to reconcile the past with an uncertain future. What's particularly tantalizing about this story is the timing. The game had been played just last weekend, with both teams seemingly performing at the peak of their capabilities. Miami and Los Angeles had showcased everything fans love about NFL football: dramatic passes, bone-crunching tackles, and moments of pure athletic brilliance. And yet, behind the spectacle, something had apparently gone horribly wrong. Reports suggest that league auditors found multiple inconsistencies in the official stat sheets and even in video footage of the game. Analysts are combing through every angle, pause frame by pause frame, looking for any clue of irregularity. Some experts have already claimed that certain plays defy logic, with timing errors and positional anomalies that cannot be explained by human error alone. This is a level of scrutiny usually reserved for doping scandals or gambling investigations, not a standard season matchup. The fact that the NFL is stepping in with such decisive action indicates just how serious the league views the situation. Adding fuel to the fire, whispers have emerged suggesting that the irregularities may involve more than just officiating errors. A few unnamed sources are hinting at internal team controversies, including potential strategy leaks, sideline disruptions, or even covert actions by third parties aiming to influence the outcome. The rumor mill is running wild, with speculations ranging from the plausible to the absurd. Yet the sheer breadth of the league's response, canceling a finished game, is proof that this is no ordinary controversy. Former players and analysts are comparing this to some of the most scandalous moments in NFL history, yet acknowledging that nothing quite matches the audacity of a retroactive game cancellation. The echoes of this decision are reverberating not only through locker rooms, but through every aspect of the league's brand and credibility. As of now, the league has promised to release a full statement, but the narrative is already taking on a life of its own. Fans are debating everything from the implications for fantasy football leagues to the long-term impact on team morale and fan loyalty. Rumors of legal battles are also starting to surface, as both teams may consider challenging the league's decision. Some even speculate that the fallout could affect broadcast contracts and sponsorship deals, as advertisers and networks scramble to respond to the uncertainty. The Dolphins and Chargers franchises have yet to make official statements, though insiders claim internal memos and meetings are ongoing to manage the crisis. Meanwhile, the rest of the NFL world watches in stunned silence, knowing that what has just unfolded could rewrite the rules of how games are governed, judged, and remembered. It's a story that will dominate headlines for weeks, and perhaps even months, as new details continue to emerge. The ripple effects are already being felt across sports talk shows, online forums, and casual conversations alike. For players, coaches, and fans alike, the cancellation of the Dolphins versus Chargers game is more than a mere statistic. It's a stark reminder that even the most beloved sporting institutions are vulnerable to controversy and scandal. Whatever the final explanation, the saga has ignited conversations about integrity, fairness, and accountability in professional football. While the NFL works to clarify the situation, one thing is certain. This is a moment that will be remembered as one of the most bizarre and sensational incidents in the history of the league. The world of football has been shaken, and the question now on everyone's lips is simple yet profound. Can the NFL recover from this? And how will it restore trust among players and fans who have spent decades celebrating the game's triumphs, only to witness an outcome erased in the most dramatic fashion imaginable? That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.